Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Andy Gaught here. I just wanted to jump on and do a quick interview with a good friend of mine, Andy Phillips. Andy has been working in digital marketing now for over 20 years and been active in property since 2001, quite a while. Andy actually works with Simon Zucci and Andy Haynes, who I'm sure that you know as part of the Property Investors Network. He helps on the Facebook group, the Property Investors Network community, where he's built in the last 20 months it to over 18,000 members, and it's such a fantastic resource for investors. He's also been speaking at property events for over the last 10 years, and his companies provide digital marketing solutions for both business owners and investors that are smart and robust, so including the amazing Property Pipeline Pro product that we'll be discussing a bit later, an all-in-one package to get property investors online fast. He's also an author, musician, speaker, and trainer. Andy, awesome to catch up. How are things going?
It's going very well, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's really good at the moment. We're working hard on quite a few different projects. So yeah, just keeping focused, keeping going. And I've had my holiday, so I've got no excuses now.
Oh, you fit one in eventually. I like it.
I fit one in. I fit one in.
Andy, you've got a wealth of experience both across sort of the marketing, technology, property, so a whole host of things coming together. But do you want to just tell me a little bit more about sort of your experience in property, what you've done in property, and how you go and apply that then to sort of the Facebook group that we've been discussing?
Yeah, I as you say, I started in 2001, and we've discussed before about the sort of the Wild West that it was back then. And I started buying property, and there was this concept of no money down deals, and I started getting into property at that time, where mortgages were just ridiculous. I mean, you if you got a discount on a property, you could use the discount as a deposit and get paid if you got more of a discount than 15%. So that's where I started, and I thought, when I first went into this, because I was always in marketing before that. When I first got into this, I just thought, why haven't I done this before? This is just money for old rope. So I started buying some property on that premise, and it wasn't until the property crash, the big reset at the time, that all those sort of mortgages went by the wayside. You had to look at different types of things, and I went into doing some flips and stuff like that. I did a few of those, then got in a bit of development in South Wales. Worked with a business partner on that, where we was buying plots of land and building houses on there, which is a big step up for me. I mean, that was pretty mind blowing, because I really knew nothing about that. When I first went into that, I was asked to come into the business, and because I think of my marketing skills, because they needed to market out to a number of different types of people. It's obviously people who wanted to buy the houses, but also we had to really market out to investors as well. So that's where I started getting into the concept of marketing to investors and trying to bring investors into the fold. And it's not easy. You don't just sort of stand there and go, I've got this great project, can I have some cash? There's a lot of regulation in there, FCA rules, and you name it. There's a lot of hurdles to go over. So you really need to know what you're doing, and so I got into that side of it as well. In recent years, I haven't really done too much in property. I've sort of got to the point now where I'm sort of focusing on the business. I'm focusing on what I do with the marketing side, and in the last, say, 8-9 years, I've really sort of focusing on things like funnels, sales funnels, rather than just putting websites up for people, because I used to do a lot of website design. My first one was actually in 1998, believe it or not. it's like, what I call 1900 and frozen to death. It's like, it's such a long time ago now, and there was no internet, and well, there was internet, but it wasn't
dial-up
social media and stuff. It was like really weird. And so that's where I started doing the sort of online stuff. But it wasn't until probably 2007, 2008 that we started getting into doing digital marketing in a more forceful way, and packaging it up to sell to clients services and things like that. So it was a long time after that, when the social media platforms started to get up and running, and and that sort of thing. So so it's been a bit of a long journey, but we're here. We're still going.
Yeah, still going. Love it. And if we just then sort of connect a couple of things together, Andy. So marketing and that sort of word is bandied about. So what does marketing mean for those people who may not be as clear around what marketing activities are, and then how does that relate to property?
When I started talking to property people about marketing, there's one thing I realized very, very quickly is that most people who come into property come from lots of different backgrounds. They, could be a teacher, a doctor, an engineer or whatever, and have never really had any genuine thoughts about how to market themselves, how to get out to a wider audience, how to get known, how to get liked and trusted, and what that actually means in real terms. And why would they? It's not been part of their lives. They've worked in businesses or, worked at, been employed within a business. So they've never really sort of had to think about this. And what you find when the consultations I've done over the years and things like that is it feels like a dark art for people. And I think the reason for that is because there's so many options. There's like a billion options out there. I mean, I do exaggerate. There's not a billion, but there's so many different, bits of software. There's so many different ideas and concepts, and you can get pulled offline really, really quickly. So my job has always been with my clients to just get them focused down to, what do we actually need to do now? What's the first thing we need to do? What's the next thing? Build this thing up over time. I recently did a podcast about looking at a holistic view or 1,000-foot view of what a marketing system should actually look like. So not going into the minutiae of what platforms and what technology and all those sort of things, but just if you're getting into this, and this was specifically for property investors, if you're getting into this, what do you actually need to focus on? What's the first point you need to do? What's the next thing you need to do? And so the way I did it was really to sort of look at the client journey. The problem we have as property investors is that we are really brokers in some ways. We look at two things: deals and cash, deals and money. That's what we do: deals and money. So we need to get the deals in, and there's quite a few different ways to do that. When you're first starting up, you might be able to sort of have a chat around with the area that you live in, or you could go to PIN meetings and find little ways of maybe do landlord letters or all those different things. We talk about all this sort of stuff all the time. The problem with that is that it's not scalable, and you get to a point where you've sort of exhausted the deals, unless you're just walking around the streets like I do and find something. Oh, I wonder who owns that. Go in and have a chat with people. But you do sort of dry up a little bit, and there's also this concept of the other side of it, which is you will run out of money at some point. It doesn't really matter how much cash you've got in the bank. If you've got some money in the bank, that's fantastic. Most people don't really have a lot of money in the bank to go and pursue this. So they need to start looking at who can I work with. And there's lots of training about, doing things like JV deals or sourcing property, lots of different ways of actually looking at an investor group and bringing cash in to do projects, for instance, which is what we've done in the past. When I did the property development side, down in South Wales, we had to go out and talk to or attract investors, people with money who want to put money in the project so they can get a return out of it. So there's these two faces of your business. It's getting the deals in, and then it's looking for partners, JV partners, cash, investment funds, that sort of thing. So you only get to that point when you come out of that first level, which is property investor. So if you're a property investor, you'll go out and find deals. You might find someone who might want to do some business with you and things like that. When you get to the stage where you actually want to get out to a much wider audience, you want to build it into an actual business, a property business, which people like yourself and a lot of people within PIN have now taken that step, and they understand that there's a lot more to this we talked about things like regulation. You got to understand the regulations behind things. You can't just ask for money. You've got to understand what you're doing in that area. And there's training for that. I mean, you can do a lot of this training. But at the same time, you get into this point where I've got to get out to a much wider audience. So I've got to find more deals, and I've got to find more investors, because now I've learned my trade, or I'm learning my trade. You get into that point where you've got to step it up a bit. And that's really my clientele, is that where you want to get out to a much wider audience, but you're not quite sure exactly where to go and what to do. And what we try and do is to focus people down on the process to start with, and then try and solve some problems right at the front end for them. And I think that really the problem is this concept of, I don't know what I'm doing with marketing. I really need some sort of leadership in it. And we sort of take on that role a little bit. So we can help them with a sort of broad aspect of, this is what a marketing system basically looks like. This is what you really need to sort of, focus on, but then start honing down on some of the specifics within that to help them get started and start to become a property business.
Yeah. Okay. And we've got is fantastic talking about those two pillars. It's the deals and it's the funds, and then it's bringing those together that then creates a property deal. And you're obviously very involved in the Property Investors Network community, and people post a lot of questions, and they post information and add value to different people in that. So what are some of the sort of main issues or challenges or problems that you see within that group for both the two pillars, the funding and then the deals?
Well, specifically for those sort of things, I mean, Property Investors Network is a great resource for really decent information. One of my jobs is, as an admin, is to cut out things like some deals that come in that we don't know if they're any good or not. It could be scams and things like that. So we don't have deals going in there. We try and cut as many of those out as possible, because there's no way of us knowing what those deals are, or whether they're genuine deals or people are trying to scam people. We've got no idea. So we cut a lot of that stuff out. But the concepts that come into that, the questions and the some of the processes that people don't quite understand are, what is an SA? You hear a lot about SA. What is SA? And then people sort of start filling that in, and you start getting some really good information. There's some really good people who comment in these things that are genuinely helping other investors, because you can't know everything. And so we also get questions on things like legalities of things and how does that work and all those sorts of stuff, which is really, really, really cool. But in relation to sort of the deals and the money, with deals, where most people are talking about, how do I find deals? How do I actually go out and find deals? And again, there's a lot of people that sort of put a lot of great information into that. A lot of it is from outside of the concept of actually marketing to get deals. So they although they are marketing, they're talking about things like leaflet drops and things like that can work. I don't think they work as well as people expect to straight away. However, they do work, and I think you've got to go out and try some of this stuff, because it does start getting you out to this wider audience. And but most people who are on the level of the business side of it, actually trying to get traffic in to talk and get them onto their website or their funnel, whatever they're using. They start using things like Facebook ads, like what we used to call geo-targeted. Things have changed at Facebook, like they do all the time, which is why it's a pain. But they used to call it geo-targeting. Now it's area marketing, because you can't geo-target as tightly as you used to be able to do. But it's still marketing to a specific area with something like Facebook ad. But you've got to have somewhere for them to go to. You've got to have somewhere where people who are selling, who want to sell their property, and they want to sell it as fast as they possibly can because they've got a situation. They want to go to a site that gives them the information in a very, very concise way. So it's got to be created well. And I think this is where we come in, because we've been doing these for many years, and we do them as really professionally as well, because I've seen a lot of sites out there that just don't work very well. You know, and it's mainly because people sort of chuck things up without much thought, and there's a lot of thought that has to go behind marketing. So we see a lot of that on Ping Community, but we also see people talking about, you know, how do I get investors? How you know, what do I need to do? And again, with that side of it, there's quite a lot of things you need to do. But once you get things set up, and this is the beauty of both of these, once you actually put your efforts in to get them set up properly and professionally, once you've done that, it pretty much runs itself. So when we're doing stuff with people, so for the investor side, for instance, we'll have a CRM and a pipeline and automation and emails that go out. So it takes a lot of the heavy lifting off that side as well as the other side. But I think really the most important side is the investor side, because this is your business online. This is your face to investors. And we've got to remember what investors want. Investors are people who don't have time. They've got money, and which is why they want to invest. They might not even really understand the property market, because investors don't have to be, you know, knowledgeable in property. What they actually want is, I've got, I don't know, 200K that I want to put into an investment. I want to understand what the return on investment is, what sort of timescales, what sort of business you are, what your background is. There's a lot of information they want, but they don't have time to read a lot. You know, they don't have time to do a lot of research. What they're really looking for initially is, they'll look around and they might see something online and they go, oh, I'll click on that. If you're rambling on about how good you are, it turns them off completely. Everybody wants to know what's in it for them. And so your website copy, and this is one of the things we work quite heavily with our clients with, the headlines or sub headline, what you give away, something like an investor pack. What does that initial investor pack actually have to look like? It needs to be a teaser. You can't put they won't have the time to read 50 pages and look at the minutiae of what you do. What they're looking for is, when they download your investor pack, they're looking for something specific, which is, can I work with this person? Is it worth my time talking to this person? So if your investor pack's good and you've told them, you know, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is how we create returns, and this is how you get involved with us. You know, something very, very simple but really professional, because again, today we have to be as professional as possible, because everything is psychological. You know, marketing is a psychological thing. It's all built on emotion. You know, do I feel like this is the person I want to talk to? So on our investor facing sites, we have a download, which is our investor guide, or investor pack, you know, the teaser investor pack. But we also have a call button. So in other words, you don't just put your phone number on. Some people will call you directly. You know, if you've got your phone number at the top of the site, someone who's really sort of go-getting and focused will go, I'm going to phone them up, and they'll phone you up. But what most people do, most investors do, is they just want a little bit more information before they take the time to phone you. So if you've got a call booking page, in other words, they can book a time to call. They're in control of the time. They will phone. They will put that time in. You will phone them at that time, and it cuts a lot of their hassle. So and also it just shows you that you're really professional. You really know what you're doing. You've got your website isn't just, you know, we do this, we do that. What we call weeing all over it. You know, we're good, we do this. But it's actually, you know, it's thinking about what the investor wants and providing what they want. That's really important. Now, that's a psychological thing for marketing. That's not just building a website and sticking in some automation. We do that as well. That's really important. But I think people don't realize the psychological impact that good marketing can actually have, and get people to actually convert from a site visitor into someone who's going to book a call with you and take that relationship to the next level.
Yeah, and I think that because, as you know, Andy, I sort of coach and mentor people within PIN, and so often people may be generating leads, but then they don't know what to do with them, or perhaps they are speaking to people, but they're not the right type of people. And I think that marketing and everything that we've talked about is sort of such a a big set of things. It's technology. It's the psychology. It's the messaging. It's and a lot of it also is relationship building. And so I think that it takes a lot of skills. And as you said at the start of our chat, a lot of people haven't had to deal with that type of skill set within their employment jobs, whereas in property you do. So I know that you've created this amazing product, so the Property Pipeline Pro, and that sort of takes away a lot of that initial setup and work that people need for both the deals but also the funding. So do you want to, I think we've already started to touch on it anyway, but do you want to just say a little bit more around how that can help people who are looking to really build their online presence for investing?
Sure. Property Pipeline Pro was really born through a sort of necessity. You know, with any decent product, any decent concept, it's got to be born from need. And you know, I've been doing sales funnels for businesses for years. The normal process is a client would come to me, and these are normally quite, you know, bigger businesses that are turning over, you know, quite good money, and they just see sales funnels as a route to conversion. So they have a product, they want to convert as many people, so they'll throw as much traffic at it as possible to a landing page, and we take them through a process of purchase. So we need to know buying cycles and things like that. We need to know the customer very well. We do customer profiling with them and things like that. Now that's quite expensive, but they don't. The sort of clients that we normally deal with don't really bat an eyelid at the price, because it's a small price to pay to get conversions and sales. You know, that's what they're doing it for. I've been talking to property people and building sites for them for years. But my biggest problem has always been it's too expensive to do a really, really good professional job, because there's a lot of moving parts. And there's a lot of consultancy time, because we've got to get to make it really sing and really professional. The person that we're doing the work for needs to understand the marketing process, and they need to understand why they're doing it. So it's not just a case of bunging out a minute of work. They need to work on the process at the same time. So they need to have sort of a marketing attitude to their business, because, you know, it is a business. And as you know, business people, you know, business leaders, people who are running businesses need to put on a number of hats. One of the most important ones is the marketing of their business, getting people, getting eyeballs on their business, getting known, getting trusted. It's one of the reasons why we do videos. You know, we go out on social media and we talk about things. I know you've done got quite a few videos just recently, like a bit of a challenge to yourself. And that's what it has to be. You have to have this mindset that I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk about my business. And that doesn't come easily to people. So there's got to be some sort of structure around it. There's got to be some reasoning behind why you're going to go through this. But when you do go through it and you start looking at, you know, getting some professional sites up, getting some social media done, looking at things like ads and stuff. And when you get to that level, you start to find that the most successful people are going there and getting it done and making it work. And it just needs a little bit of a mindset change that you do have to. If you're running a business, you have to be a business owner. You have to go and market your business. There's no way around that. So let's find the easiest route. So when I've been talking to a lot of people about how we can help them to move that into that sector, that business, rather than just property investor, the biggest problems that people come across is technology.
Yeah.
Why the hell would you know how to build a funnel? You know, where are you going to get that skill set from? And why should you, as a business owner? You know, that's something which, you know, you need to get someone who is an expert in it to do it for you. Yeah. But you can't pay the sort of prices that most people do. So when we created Property Pipeline Pro, the idea behind it was that we'll do a lot of the work first. So me and my team took 3.5 months to build the program, to build the sites, to build all the email replies, you know, the automated email replies that come in. So someone downloads something and they get an email and that sort of thing. All the automations, build the CRM out, build the pipeline out, so we know exactly where people are in the system. because I don't think anybody who just comes into this and wants it will ever be able to build it themselves. It's too much technology going on there. Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing. So we spent 3.5 months building what you could call a snapshot of the perfect business, which basically means that all we're doing when we actually go into a client and put it in place for them is customizing it to their brand, their messaging, their downloads, their core structure, wherever it is that they, and we help them all the way through that as well, because again, we don't take anything for granted. So we built that and started putting it out and started talking to property investors that I know, and I know quite a few, obviously. And everybody said, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, what a great idea. And then people started buying it. And this is the thing, because we can drive the cost right down. We can make it really affordable. We hold people's hands all the way through it. So it's the solution I always wanted to put in place, but we couldn't really do that until we had the right software. So we're using one piece of software rather than 5 or 6, because when you put this sort of thing in, there's this whole problem of this piece of software does this, this piece of software does this. So you get things like what's called a tech stack. And that can really overcomplicate everything. And I know lots of people who have gone through 2, 3, 4 years building this tech stack up, and finally they've got something that sort of works, but it can fall over because it's like it's APIs, and I'm talking jargon now, but it's like
cost as well.
It just becomes a bit of a nightmare. So what we thought, right, the solution that we wanted to put in place was, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do any tech. We'll do all that for you, and we'll support you on the tech. You don't have to worry about the software. We'll put the software in for you. We'll do everything. But at the end of the day, what you actually end up with is a really good motivated seller site that is automated, and a really good investor-facing site, which again is automated. So we have pipelines, we have CRM, we have all that in there, and we show you how to use it. And what that means is that you don't have to worry about all the things you would have had to worry about. You just get the thing up and running, and then you can start thinking about, okay, so what's the broader things I need to do to drive traffic into there? What's the next thing I need to do? So, for instance, with my clients, they have now got it up, and what they're doing now is focusing on things like social media and driving traffic to that. The next thing they'll start looking at is doing ads, probably to the motivated seller site, probably locally. And so what we're doing is we're talking to some people within the industry that I know are good at what they do. And so we can start putting people in touch with, maybe if they want to do ads, let's go and put them in touch with the right people. Because again, there's a lot of cowboys in the Facebook ads side. Just a little tip: if you ever see someone who says, "I'll do your ads for free," run to the hills, because what they're actually doing is saying, I've got no idea what I'm doing, but if you give me money to spend for ad spend, I'll do the ads for free, and I'll learn on your money.
How to do it.
Not a great idea. So we have to be very, focused on this. If you're going to get someone in, get someone who's got some sort of track record and good at what they do, and do that throughout. Whenever you do anything, find out what they've done, how they work, who they've done it for. Look at some track record of these things, because it's really important. You don't really want to spend money that is just going to go down the drain. You really want, because everything does cost cash to get into things. However, the idea is, if you can get that up and running, then you've got a home on the internet, the sort of thing, probably part of them, right? You've got a home on the internet that you can drive traffic to, that then converts people, because funnel technology is all about conversion. It's about driving people down a road of conversion rather than a website. And a lot of websites out there that have got so much stuff on there, so much navigation, and it just loses people within 10 seconds. And so, that's why we use the funnel side of it, because that does one thing. It's like, for instance, the motivated seller site has one call to action.
Right. Okay.
And that is just to put their name, their email, the telephone number, and the property address in. That's it. There's no about.
So
You know?
Yeah, so much sort of so many websites are almost just shop windows. It's just pictures and people holding keys, and as you say, it's the we thing. But I know that the Property Pipeline Pro is an awesome product. It has a very clear intention. It knows what it's trying to do with people who visit the site. It's got all the technology, the automation. It's done all the heavy lifting, as you say, Andy. When people engage with you and your services, it's about the customization, tailoring it to the business that it's being used for, without any of the overall sort of challenge of all the technology. So yeah, it's a brilliant product. If people want to find out more, I'll drop some links underneath this video. But also, Andy, how can people get in touch with you as well?
Well, I think the best thing to do, and this is genuine, is book a call with us. If you stick the link in below to book a call, you can go to the website and things like that. But if you're interested in this sort of thing, just book a call with us, because we'll discuss your situation. And this is not some pushy sales call. If it's not the right fit, we'll tell you it's not the right fit, or it's not the right time for you right now, because what we're looking to do is working with clients that they want to get to that next level. They want know where they want to go, and we can do these pretty quickly. So the sort of time frames of actually from first call to getting the whole system up online can be as little as 5 days if you've got everything ready. No one does. No one's got everything ready. But we do like training programs and other bits and pieces to help people do their downloads and anything else that's sort of involved in. We've really put a lot of thought into this. But the time frame is anything from sort of 10 days to 30, 40 days. But this is really quick, because most of the clients that have come to me before this have spent literally years just trying to slowly build this up. What we wanted to do with this was, like, if you want it, let's get it done. Let's get it, put it in place. Let's get it done. We'll work with you every step of the way, because that's what you need. You get momentum, get it up, then start working on the rest of your marketing side.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, Andy, it's been amazing to chat. Thanks so much for sharing a bit of your background and how you can help so many property investors with the challenges of technology. So yeah, as I said, if you are interested in finding out more, I'll drop links to, you've got a podcast there. You can book a call with Andy to chat a little bit more about what you need. So I'll drop those underneath this video. Andy, a real pleasure, and yeah, catch you soon.
Thanks for the opportunity, mate. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.